take us back to the good old days. The times of just hanging out with friends, maybe in a basement, just like the kids from that 70s show. In today's world, just hanging out is no longer the norm. And it's not just noteworthy for inspiring future sitcoms. It's impacting our health. Last year, the U.S. Surgeon General released a report titled Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation, detailing how loneliness is plaguing our country. He says it's having an effect on our well-being. And he's not the only one. Dr. Sarah Fisher is a psychologist at Nebraska Medicine in Omaha, Nebraska, and says loneliness can be worse for you than moderate smoking.
The stress of loneliness can impact your body in a myriad of ways. Stress in general, it can impact your cardiovascular system, your immune system, your digestive system. It can have cognitive effects, right? It can make your blood pressure go up. And so stress itself has all these different health effects. But then if we're feeling lonely or we don't have social support, that will also impact our behavior and like our access to certain things, right?
Dr. Fisher says there's multiple factors to loneliness, including relationships, community, and society. She says before the COVID pandemic, many Americans were already on a path to loneliness and isolation, with cell phones, technology, and social media already taking a toll.
More and more, we're getting a lot of what we think is our socialization online, right? Especially through social media like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, all the classic, offenders. And when COVID hit, right, everyone was forced to basically just rely on that.
Reliance on tech accelerated during the pandemic. We had to find new norms of communicating in our professional and personal lives.
And so that really just pushed the pedal down on the gas, in terms of really starting to rely more and more on more shallow forms of socialization, I think, and not having that same community integration that we really need as the human species.
And Dr. Fisher says that kind of communication is not enough. In-person contact with other humans is so important for us.
Like if you imagine a day at the office, right? If you're in person, you come in, you kind of put your stuff down, you go to the break room, you make your coffee, you run into people on the way, you chat about random stuff that's kind of meaningless. And, you have meetings, and then after the meeting, you kind of hang back and you talk about your kids or your pets or, whatever you want to talk about. And it's those pieces that we're missing with purely virtual.
In-person contact is especially beneficial for young adults who get a lot of socialization on their devices without actual social connection.
A lot of social media is about comparison. And whichever way it goes, it's really damaging. So it can go the direction that you would expect, right? Which is trying to upscale each other, right? So who has the cutest kids, or who's skinniest, or who has the coolest vacation, or, trying to one-up each other a little bit over time and trying to present yourself in the best way.
So what's a solution? Professor and author of Hanging Out, The Radical Power of Killing Time, Sheila Liming says, even if you do nothing while hanging out with other people, it ends up being beneficial for you and them.
So I would say if that's something that someone is trying to get better at or trying to do, that it starts with realizing that time is not wasteful. Thinking about what exactly you do get out of it that might not seem like it's valued or it's productive in maybe like a more quantifiable sense. But then also realizing that it is mutual. It's a two-way street, right? So it's not just that like you're getting a benefit in the moment too, but you're also participating in someone else's benefits as well and contributing to it.
And what exactly are you getting by just hanging out with others? Social connection and interaction, even if you're doing nothing.
Our ability to develop and maintain those social connections is linked to our ability to create happiness for ourselves.
That's right. Your relationships are directly linked to your happiness. For more than 85 years, the Harvard Grant Study has been looking into what makes people happy. Researcher Robert Waldner said, the study found that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. Dr. Fisher recommends tackling the barriers that may be preventing you from forming healthy relationships. If you need somewhere to start, figure out your interests. Are they concerts, game nights, art shows?
And then find a group that does that. Meetup is good for that. Facebook, I think, has some opportunities where they have groups that meet in person.
And don't get too caught up in internet culture, she says, because that's not real social connection. It's not really hanging out and can't be a replacement for in-person contact.
Whereas like true social connection is about just two people or a group of people like talking to each other, right? And sharing interests and sharing stories and sharing history. And it's not about how am I comparing myself to you, or how is my self-image maybe wrapped up in what I see in you, right? It's just about pure connection, if that makes sense.